I'm Jon Stickley, and we're the Jon Stickley Trio. So glad to be here having some journals made at the In Blue Studios.
I'm Lindsay Pruitt. I'm the fiddle player.
I'm Patrick Armitage, and I'm the drummer.
There is a little bit of a ritual to my songwriting process, though it's a very loose ritual. It can happen. It mainly happens in the morning times, in between coffee and breakfast, or coffee and lunch. And ideas start to flow usually when I'm sitting at the breakfast table. I usually pick up my guitar in the morning and just start playing kind of what I feel. I don't try to play something I already know. It's like that's the time when something can pop in, and usually it does, and if I'm lucky enough I can grasp it and write down a note of the idea in my journal or even on my phone, which I hate to admit because every time I write something in my phone it ends up disappearing. I'm like, I wish I had written it on some paper. But this morning, like, I wrote a song called Rice Dream, and it was very all about that, even that time of morning, because I was actually drinking the beverage Rice Dream. But then that's like my favorite guitarist's name is Tony Rice, and I actually had a dream about Tony Rice last night. So this song is going to be called Rice Dream. Atmosphere?
So I used to drum for the hip hop group Atmosphere, and their rapper Slug. I actually used to see him pull out his journal and all the stuff where he used to write all of his lyrics. So I actually kind of, in a weird way, would get to peek in it and see him just kind of go through everything that he did, and all of a sudden from that, from him actually writing it down, being moved or whatever, and then have it come out, through art or through music. So that was probably a pretty good one.
I would like to peek into Bela Fleck's journal. I just would love to know what his process is like, or what his practice is like. Like just him practicing. Like, what does he practice? Or how does he write? How does he come up with this stuff?
That's the thing too. For me, the guy who produced our last album, the drummer for the Bad Plus, his name's Dave King, and I studied under him for like 5 or 6 years, and I have 5 or 6 years worth of lessons in a journal with him. And so in a weird way, and he's still my favorite drummer of all time too, so in a weird way I'm, and all of us, from all the people we've studied under, all the lessons we've taken, and all that stuff's been jotted down and taken from somewhere.
I actually would like to read that journal.
Yeah, me too.
Totally.
I got a 4-track tape recorder when I was in middle school, and that was the first thing that I ever really captured any music on, as far as recordings, and it was all like home done demos, and then a little bit with my first band, and I've actually still got those cassette tapes, which are amazing. They're very I haven't gotten them onto digital yet, so it's like they're like, if I had a safe they would be in it, but they're in a shoebox in my parents' closet. But there's like raps and stuff that we made. So that's the earliest thing I can think of. Well, you write stuff on your hands, right? A lot.
Yeah.
And I hate to say iPhone. That's just so sad.
I was in Hawaii a couple years ago. A friend of mine who's got a studio, but he has a chocolate farm out there. And there are these trees that like pull off, like the way their bark pulls off. And that's what the ancient Hawaiians used to use to actually keep and write down some historical stuff. And he has it on the farm because they do this tour, and they'll do sugar cane and the cacao and the vanilla. But another thing that they do is do that. And so he gave me this big piece of this stuff to kind of take with me. And I actually, brought it home and used it for a few different projects.
Tom Robbins.
Big one.
Yeah.
I was just listening to, we were driving back across the country from Colorado last week, and I was listening to Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, on audiobook, and that was pretty inspiring. I've been thinking about it ever since. Another good musician that is a writer that I know is a big inspiration to all of us is Tim O'Brien. Love him. And there's actually an author, Tim O'Brien, too, but Tim O'Brien, the musician, he wrote that last song that we played, The High Road, and that's a really inspiring idea.
Yeah, he's a great writer. He's also a great interpreter of other songs, you know? Yeah, when we were out in Colorado, I was listening to the Bad Plus recording of The Rite of Spring, which is by Stravinsky, a Russian composer. And it made me, I'd played the piece a lot growing up in orchestra, and it made me realize how much melodically I like just have subconsciously soaked those kinds of melodies in. Like a lot of Russian composers wrote some of the most beautiful melodies that really stick in your head, and I know are just like making their way through, you know, everything that I play and improvise too, you know.